But here, I'm almost fine.
I got up, I taught my morning class in Massachusetts, jumped in the car, drove to New York, met Katie at B&H, picked up a dry
It's called The Janitor, which is just an assigned title. It's an incomplete film. It starts in the middle of nowhere. Do we have a baby watching The Janitor? I'm really concerned about that. So it's 8 or 9 minutes long, and then lucky us, Ed said he would stick around and play piano for it as well. So this is from about 1930, a silent historical stag film.
Outside funding is offering the opportunity to digitize material, but with relationships with outside universities where master copies are both there and in the local archives.
And then we also have Senadica, which is the Central African Regional Branch of the International Council of Archives, and Wabika, which is the Western African Regional Branch of the International Council of Archives. So of the three bodies in Africa, the one that has managed to progress further is Esabica, because we've managed to have workshops with the help of FIAF.
I noticed during the break that the most popular tweet message coming out of #Orphans7 is Mike Michon's, "What we really need are a bunch of mules." So we took 14 mules to the Museo, and here are their names. And they're all here today, which is kind of surprising because they're now dispersed across the country. Really amazing. You'll be hearing from others of them in other contexts, but included a range from artists and filmmakers to people specifically trained in moving image archiving.
Hey Rebecca, I just wanted to say that I think that you guys are representative of a sort of a filmmaker version of someone writing about archives in a critical way, like in a critical discipline. I think it's really important what you're doing, and I just wanted to encourage everybody here to watch, if you can, some of Rebecca's other work, because as a whole, I almost think it addresses all kinds of archival issues in an arc almost. And this is a good way to sort of end that arc for now, but I'm interested to see how you're going to continue it. But yeah, it sparked for me an interest in studying archives critically, but it's really, it's just feedback, it's not a question, but it's just really important what you're doing, and I really like them.
Start in exactly 5 minutes, everybody, so if you know people in the lobby, drag them in.
Tonight's a special night where we're honoring the legacy of, I guess it's fair to say, one of our own, a great filmmaker who was also involved in preservation issues and in orphans in particular, and who hails from Columbia, South Carolina, where the orphans were born. And so we'll be honoring 2 recipients of the Helen Hill Award, and you'll see their films.
Tremendously blown away, whoa, man, honored to receive an award like this. Do you have anything to say? I know that Helen Hill was a major influence in my life. I wouldn't have ever started making films had I not come across her work. So to be honored this way is huge for me. I feel really crazy right now. You know? It's an amazing honor. Yeah, it's an amazing honor. So thank you to everybody. We had some tea out here. We know that Helen was a big fan of tea parties, as you can see in her movie Tunnel of Love. At the end, they stage a tea party. So if everyone could just raise their teacup really quick, we'd just like to give a toast.
With all our love to Helen.
With all our love to Helen, and all our love to the DIY spirit, making things happen. And that goes for Dan Strebel over there and all the Orphanistas who have just come together to make this awesome event happen, and perpetuate it year after year. It's really, really amazing. So thank you for having us, and enjoy your tea. Cheers.
Kind of finding underground people. Mark has kind of become the Philip Marlowe of the Los Angeles underground film scene, kind of tracing back alleyways, knocking on doors, finding references to John Baldessari's students and looking them up in the phone book, I think. I don't know how he does it.
My name is Mark Toscano. I'm a preservationist at the Academy Film Archive in Los Angeles, and I work predominantly on avant-garde cinema, not exclusively, but that's the majority of my time is spent on that. And even though I started there in 2003, it was only around 2005 when David James's book, The Most Typical Avant-Garde, came out, which I highly recommend you all check out if you're interested. And maybe even if you're not interested, you might find yourself interested once you check it out. Once I got that book and I realized, my God, I've been in the city for 2 years and I've explored very little of the avant-garde cinema culture of Los Angeles, other than what was happening in the contemporary moment, I suppose, seeing new films and stuff.
Before I made this film, I made 3 to 8 minute long Super 8 films that looked at the landscape downtown in the 70s, which was kind of on the bleak side, but also a lot of fun. And I performed in 2 of them, and this is one of them. It's a little bit of I hope you enjoy it. I think I've got to stop talking right now. Okay.
That said, we're going to have photographers outside, and Rick Rayland will be twittering outside, so if you leave, you'll be posted somewhere on a blog. People will know that you weren't able to watch Raw Nerves. Raw Nerves was made by Manuel Delanda, who made a number of films while he was a student here at the School of Visual Arts.
I was put in touch with Charlotte and Tony Marzani, the widow and son of Carl Marzani, the progenitor of Union Films. They were amazingly generous and supportive of my interests, and they gave me copies of various documents as well as copies of Carl's 5-volume autobiography. They also told me that there should be some of his films lying around in Charlotte's basement. All this actually happened just 2 or 3 blocks away from here.
The manifesto, signed by 2 of our guests tonight, ends with a brilliant provocation. We don't want false, polished, slick films. We prefer them rough, unpolished, but alive. We don't want rosy films. We want them the color of blood.
First, thank you, Marty Scorsese. Without you and Film Foundation, this film wouldn't be projected here tonight, the way you will see. And good to see you, Ed. There were some gaps of many years when we didn't see each other, but we reconnected again. Here it is. That's what jazz is all about.
This film's extraordinary assertion and articulation of Black American culture, a full decade before Black studies would come into existence as an academic field, could only come from the sensibility of Black organic intellectuals. I use Gramsci's term organic intellectuals to describe the writers of The Cry of Jazz, and Ed Bland in particular, advisedly, knowing that he may scoff at this label's Marxist pedigree.
But there are stories of Barbara Rubin running around with a camera during the performances of the Velvet Underground, and with a very bright light, and running up to people in the audience and saying, "Are you uptight? Are you uptight?" and then filming their reaction of this bright light is.
Keep it moving really